All right, man. Hey, Paul Welch. Man, this is great to be down here with you. We're here with Paul, as I said, Paul Welch, and we're here. He's playing bass for the Reverend Zack and the Good News Blues Band. And man, what an awesome job you're doing. And so, hey, but your experience in music goes way back. We were talking earlier about the days of October of 1977. You was running sound for who?
Lynyrd Skynyrd.
Lynyrd Skynyrd. All right, yeah. And man, that must have been an incredible experience.
It was. They were, salt of the earth people. Some of the greatest folks I've known.
Yeah.
Proud to be associated with them in any way.
Yeah.
And loved their music and loved working with them.
Yeah.
Didn't like the last playing light too much, but.
No, I mean that, and we talked about that. I mean, October the 20th of 1977.
35 years ago today.
Oh man, I tell you what. How many people were on board that flight?
26 people were on board, and 20 of us made it through.
20 made it through.
Yeah, six were killed. The FAA was amazed that anybody made it. They said we hit the trees at better than 250 miles an hour, but Ronnie Van Zant, Steve Gaines, Cassie Gaines, Dean Kilpatrick, and then the pilot and co-pilot, Walter and Jim, all died.
Yeah, wow. Well, I know this is kind of a sad day. We sent messages out to the Van Zant family today, sending our condolences and just prayers and thoughts with them and everything. But going back to that day, on October the 20th of 77, where were you sitting on the plane?
I was sitting in the first row seats on the port side of the airplane. Up front was cockpit and galley and a little living room area. Then there were regular airplane seats, two per side with an aisle in the center, and I was in the first row of airplane seats on the port side, left side. And when the crash happened, the plane ripped in half in front of the wings, directly underneath my feet. So I was thrown into the trees, as most of us were thrown out of the airplanes on impact.
Yeah. What kind of injuries did you have out of that?
Well, I received, I guess the most serious injury was I had a double basilar skull fracture. That means the back of my head on both sides got caved in.
Yeah.
And when I was admitted to the hospital, I needed 7 pints of blood. Lost it all through the skull.
Oh yeah, you can see that. Yeah.
And the human body holds 8 pints of blood, and I lost 7 through there.
Yeah.
And they had to give me a transfusion immediately. And one really miraculous thing about that is that the rescue people, the EMP team in that area, had just run a drill some 6 weeks earlier about how to get 25 passengers off a Convair 240. We were on a Convair 240 with 26 people on board, and we crashed like a mile from where they practiced.
Yeah.
So they were ready for us. And the Red Cross had been running a blood drive and had just finished it and had not packaged it up yet to send to state headquarters in Jackson. So there was all kinds of blood right there for us.
Oh, wow.
And we needed it.
Yeah.
After we got to the hospital, another miracle happened is that we arrived at shift change. So there were 31 doctors and nurses waiting for us in this small hospital near the crash site. They turned the entire lobby of the hospital into an emergency room.
Yeah.
So we had, a double shift of doctors and nurses, and, medics and anesthesiologists, all kinds of folks.
And you was telling us about your wife, because at first they gave a report out that everyone,
Well, she had just gotten back inside from being out with friends, and there was a news flash. Lynyrd Skynyrd's airplane has crashed in Mississippi. There are no survivors. Film at 11. And so that's how she found out she was a widow. But she kept her wits about her, and she called up Shoko, the company I was working for, and found out that yes, I was still on that tour, and I was still on that airplane as far as they knew. So she called FAA headquarters in Atlanta to get status on the plane, where it was and this kind of stuff, and they didn't know. They just handed us over to FAA New Orleans, I guess. So she called FAA in New Orleans, and they said since they knew where the crash happened, they didn't know the area, didn't know where hospital. They had the information. They could tell her which hospitals were nearby, and so she could call them to find out. And I guess she called and was asking about me, and was told no one had any ID on them. I'd carry my wallet and my briefcase, and while the guys were playing poker in the back, were playing with their wallets out, and those who were conscious were in shock, and so there was no one knew who anybody was, and my wife said, "Well, can I describe him to you? He's 6'1", got short-length brown hair and a beard." And the nurse said, "Lady, they all look like that." And but as it later turned out, the helicopter pilot who flew me from I think it was Macomb, Mississippi, up to Jackson, his name was Ken Welch. And his wife, Kathy, was the admitting nurse at the university hospital where I was taken. And the doctor thought it was kind of cute, all those Welches together.
All right.
There was no relation that I know of.
Well, somewhere along the line, maybe. But you're here tonight, 35 years later, to talk about this. I mean, I'm sure you've talked about it over the years, over and over again.
It's kind of cathartic in a way.
Yeah.
Helps you get through it. Like, luckily, because of my head injury, I was knocked unconscious at the time of the crash, and the last memory I have was 2 or 5 minutes before that, when the starboard engine caught on fire. And next thing I remember is waking up in the hospital. So luckily, I don't recall seeing anybody die.
You were in a coma for how long?
It was about 3 weeks and 4 or 5 days, almost a month.
Yeah.
Pardon me. And but like I said, I don't remember seeing anybody die or get cut up or whatever. And I'm from where I was seated and where everybody else was. Good chance I saw one of my friends get hurt or get killed. And I have no memory of that.
Have you flown since?
I flew home from the hospital.
Okay. All right. Okay.
They doped me up pretty seriously. I have I don't remember leaving the hospital, arriving at the airport in Jackson, or flying it or landing in Shreveport on the way home. But we flew from Jackson to Shreveport to Dallas, and I woke up as we started to approach Dallas for landing. And when the engines cut back and the engines cut back and we started dropping altitude, I was just coming to, and I think I left my fingerprints permanently embedded in the armrest of the aircraft I was on. My mother and wife were with me, and they calmed me down and assured me this was normal, it was fine. And they gave me more drugs, and I don't remember anything else until arriving back at home in Denver. But there were some fun times. And I've flown several times since, because it's impossible to be a working musician, especially working with the bands I was working with at the time doing sound tours without flying.
Well, we're just really glad that you're here 35 years later to talk about it, and and we talked about with Reverend Zack, maybe we can get you guys in one of the prisons we go into one of these times, and maybe we'll do this a little bit in prison, just a candid little talk like this. But we certainly appreciate it tonight. Glad you're here, and just wish you the best, Paul. Thank you very much. All right.
And all the best to your ministry as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
We haven't talked about God, but He's the one in charge of this whole affair.
That's right.
That's why I made it through the plane crash. And
there you go.
There's a million things to talk about with that. I wanted to get the word in that I knew who my Lord and Master is, and we should talk about that at some point.
Yeah, we certainly will, and we'll be talking about that, and that'd be a great spot to start with that in a prison. There you go. All right.
Again, thank you very much.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Paul.